Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello, everyone.
Good morning, Bin. Thank you for hosting today. Bin, I'm going to transfer the screen to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Changing the host to Bin right now.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so today we have a few items on our agenda. I think firstly we will go over an issue from the community and then go over the CAMP PR, and also I can share our analysis on our error handling like testing. And also Junchen had a event doc on the validation on TSA bump up with notation code. And if we have more time, we can share the issues. Okay. Oh, Junchen is not here, and we can wait for maybe 1 more minute. Okay, let's start. So firstly, we have yesterday we have an issue from the community. Uh, so okay, the ask was they they want to keep both the tag and the digest one during the validation, and I think they just want to keep the tag for maybe for the debugging or something else because they don't want to use this tag for the deployment. I think that currently we always if we enable the mutation webhooks, then the tag will be replaced by the digest in the manifest. So we don't keep the tag and digest. We don't keep the tag, but just have the digest. And if we disable the mutation, then it will be just the tag, so which is not recommended. I feel with the current mutation webhook, I don't think it will support like having both in our manifest. Is that correct, Akash?
So I think the user is asking for why we aren't using the Docker approach. I think Docker allows for references where you do the reference colon tag at and then the SHA digest. So they're wondering if we can support that. That's my interpretation here.
Uh,
But that's like a Docker specific invention. So I don't know if we're okay supporting that. But yeah, beyond that, I don't think we can actually return two different references.
Let me check. New.
I have a question. They say, can't we keep both tag and digest? Do they mean in the verification report or during the verification call?
I think they're talking about like Binbin mentioned, my interpretation is the mutation of the actual resource template. So because we just change the tag to the digest and we don't follow like the Docker specific convention, which can have both of them at once, they may have some other sort of other mutating webhooks or some other requirement for there to be the tag existing in the resource as well. So I don't know if it's the actual, I don't think it's the actual verifier report that we return. But
Yeah,
we would
we
need
can
more.
with with his folk.
Yeah, I feel like we want to understand what are they blocked on? Why do they also need the tag?
I think this is just for the debugging stuff.
Oh, I see, I see.
So which element, I guess, are they worried about the tag? Is it a Ratify? What image, what container image are they wanting to preserve the tag on? Is it an image that Ratify is using or an image that they're using that they're wanting to sign and verify?
I think the image set it being verified. It's not the ratified image.
Okay, so the images that they would sign and then verify. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I can follow up with him uh, next. Oh, okay. For the PR KMP retrieval, hey Josh, do you have any updates on this PR?
Yeah, let's see here. Where's a good place to pick up? So I have some, it'd probably be better to review. Actually, we can review the changes that I made since, was it last Monday that I spoke? So if you go to just the commit history. We'll see which one. Probably the is refreshable method, and probably don't need to click into them, but just to make note that they're there. So it's the third from the bottom, I think, third and fourth from the bottom. So these are two things that Akash brought up in the last Monday's meeting. So the refresh method, instead of having the refresh in the spec and being visible to the user, it's now hidden underneath as a method inside the KMP. And so I went and added that to both the inline and to the Azure Key Vault. So Azure Key Vault's refreshable, inline's not. And so the reconcile method uses that logic now to determine whether or not it should requeue. And then the string was also pretty simple to figure out, changing that from just an int 32, I think it was before, and now it's a string. And then I parse that string into duration. So it supports whatever the what is the time.parse method does. And so that fit all the scenarios that Akash mentioned, like 1 minute, 1 millisecond, 1 hour. And that's determined as a string. So it'd be, 1 M for minute, 1 S for second, etc. And so those changes are now a part of this. A couple changes that I'm working on locally that we should probably review next Monday that are bigger, which would be adding or basically updating the namespaced resource and allowing for it, because right now only the cluster resource has been modified. And so I wanted to make sure I got the namespace put into here, and then I'm working on some better testing for the refresher interface, and all that should be ready to review on Monday. But for right now, really only changes are that new method and then the string interval changing, or the interval changing to a string, are the two big changes that are listed here. So,
Yeah.
but if there's any other feedback that people want changed in here, please let me know.
Yeah, I'll take a look. And also, so we will have another PR for the E2 test, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Go back to, yeah. So the error handling improvements. So we have a few discussions this last week and this week. So currently we have 3 general improvements to the error handling. The first one is we want to reformat our nested error structure. So yeah, so the current error looks like this way, like we have some like original error, something like that. But this is not well organized, so we want to reformat this message to like easy to read. And another one is we want to improve the verification response. There are 3 areas we can improve. The first one is that besides the message field, we also want to add another new field, which can be a reason or error detail or something else. So for the new field, it will carry the root cause of an error. But for the message field, it will just have the overall result of the verification. So we get is our definition. So this is an example of the current verified reports of V1 version. We have 2 versions actually, V 0.1 and 1.0. So for this one, we have like message. Okay, this is a successful message, but for a failure message, failed message, it will be something like this. It will be very long error message. And so after the change, the message will be something like, oh, something failed. But there is another field which is like reason, and it will have the root cause of this error. And oh, no. And also the second one is that we want to like rename some fields like the name and type to verify name and verify type to make it more like readable. And the third one, it might be out of scope. So because the config policy and the recall policy are using like different verified reports. Like we have V0.1 is used by the config policy. And we have V1.0 is used by the recall policy. So we want to consolidate the reports that are used by both policy engines. And since they are not compatible, so I'm thinking if we can use config policy to evaluate on the V1 report, because the V1 reports can carry more information than the older version. But that may like require a lot of refactoring. So it needs to be discussed if we want to add that. And even if we want to add that, it will be I think it will be in the next release, not in this release, because we only have like about 1 month for the next for the current release. And also the last one, this is a proposal in the controller. So currently, when we do the reconciliation, so if there is something wrong happens, we just report in the CR status. But this error will not be reported during the image verification. So we want to save the errors during the reconciling, and then in the verification, we can check this error and return the error if it's there, so that we can like so even during the image invalidation, we can still check we can still get the error from the reconciling, so which will make more like sense to the users. Okay. Yes, that's the general improvement for the error handling. We also E.
Yeah, sorry, Bing, please continue. I
Okay,
can
so
talk later. Yeah.
yeah, thank you. So those are the general improvements to the error handling, and we also have I also create another issue for checking the error message for each improving the error message for each error. So that will be a lot of like error scenarios that we already like tested. So, but that will be just like trivial work for each one.
Yeah, thank you for
Okay.
categorizing these, Binbin. Just double checking which of these three is for 1.4 and which ones are for 1.3.
I think for the current release, firstly, we need to, the first one will be included in the current release. And the second one, yeah, it will be also included. But for the third one, oh no.
Yeah, could we
Okay.
do the triaging label right now since we're at?
Oh yes. Actually, we can go back to the issue. Yeah, you have hand up.
Yes, I just want to add something on top of what Bingbing said. So what Bingbing just mentioned is more focusing on the design and also implementation parts. So for me, I will create an overall proposal for Ratify error handling improvements, including the problems that we found in the Hack Markdown file that's been prepared, and also some offline discussions. And also I will write the proposals for those improvements, and also provide the error message guideline that other community has worked on as a reference for Ratify to improve each individual messages. So my plan is to send out a PR for this document as a proposal in the document folder for you to review, which will include those issues that Bingbing just talked, and also the short-term and long-term improvements accordingly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, let's move back to the issue list. We have a lot of judge issues function. Oh. Okay, let's start from the top. This one we just went through. So we will follow up on this issue. Move charge. Should we just keep the judge, as we haven't get the follow-ups yet?
Yes, sure.
And the refactor one. Yeah, so this one will be included in the current release, and I think it should. I'm still doing the like analysis on the format, but it should be easy to implement. So I think it can be done in the current milestone. The second one, improve the response. So yeah, we have 3 areas. So I think in current release, we can do the first 2 items. And for the third one, I guess I probably need to create another issue if once I'm done with like 1 and 2.
Yeah, just to check with E, do you have any feedback on only addressing the top 2 for this release? So there will be some spillover to the next release. Is that okay, E?
Yeah, it's okay. Actually, I did an offline talk with Bingbing, so it's okay. Yeah, just Bingbing needed to create another issue and for the third one.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
we can set the correct milestone for it.
Yeah, sounds good. So we're going to keep our current release date, right? August 30.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Sounds good.
This one yesterday I talked with E. So for this one, I think we will add to the next milestone. And because I feel it might require some work. So I think I will start work on this one in the in next month, but it will be probably finished after the August. So I think it will be released in the next milestone or the next release. Do we have 1.4? Oh, I just put it in the future.
I think Binbin put it in 1.3 for now.
Okay.
And then we might start on this, and then we'll just move everything over
Yeah.
at the end of this release. Yep.
Good. Sounds good.
One question: should we close other milestones? It seems some old milestones was not closed.
Yeah, I can close it right now. Close B1.1.
I think we need to make sure there's no open items first.
Oh, I just closed one.
I think 1.1 is okay, no open.
Oh, yeah, no open, yeah.
Yeah, just only 1.2 has two open.
Oh, this is
This one is no open. Yeah, you can close it.
1.2 two open. Okay. Replicate and improve code and virus. Yeah, okay. Is everything done on the cosine verify? I think you have done a lot of improvement to the cosine verify.
Yes, there's a few error message handling things for the KMP specifically, but I think all of these are all taken care of, so we can probably close this one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And the deprecate config policy out. I think this is not our priority for now. So
Yeah, maybe put in future, I guess.
yes. Okay, we can close the 1.2 close. Okay. Let's go back to the issue list. For the CRL, yeah. So your CRL is just for the cert revocation during the notation signature validation. So currently we only support the OCSP protocol, but the OCSP requires requires remote connection for each check, and it might take a lot of time. So now we will support the CRL check. For the CRL, we can do the cache to save a lot of time. And also notation team is currently working on the CRL support. So once they do support the CRL, and we can use that for free. But we still need to add some we still need to do some coding stuff on the Ratify side to use the new library from the notation code. So remove triage and probably in the next milestone. Reflect Azure authentication support.
Yeah, this one is part of the work we're going to need to do if when we prioritize the CLI work as well. Currently, we're using the old SDK for identity, and that's now out of support as of 6 months ago. So we need to eventually migrate over to use this new library. And along with that, we should look into using like a default Azure credential support, which would allow for a lot more authentication mechanisms, not just workload identity. So all of that work is kind of bucketed.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we should complete it in the next milestone.
Yeah. Josh?
Hey, Josh.
Yeah.
There's also another, while I was tinkering around with multiple version support this week, I noticed that there's new packages for certificates and keys than what's currently used. So that might be another one to kind of look at the same time as the identity. I don't know how much that would change, but
Yeah, that's a good call out. We can do you mind just commenting on this issue with that as well?
yeah, absolutely, I can do that.
Thanks.
Thank you. Improvements on the signature verification lead time. Hey, do you want to
Sorry.
share?
Sorry, Bim. Sorry to interrupt. Before you move on from the previous one, Bim, do we know if there's any security concerns with not supporting the new AD SDK? Like, is this something we should prioritize?
Don't know about the security implications. It seems like the SDK upstream is not getting any more updates. So if there are vulnerabilities there, it might be susceptible to that. So yeah, it could be an area.
I would, if possible, I would say let's definitely prioritize this one. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I'm moving to the country release. Okay.
Yeah, so we're just moved the identity item to 1.3. I just want to see who's the potential owner for this.
Even if we don't get to do this, at least understand sort of if there's any concerns from using the deprecated SDK. I mean,
I see.
there might not be any concerns, but at least understand because this whenever I like if when I hear a deprecated package or
Mhm.
something that manages how identities, I feel like this is something that we at least need to understand what is a concern. So yeah.
Could we assign it to an owner to do a first pass on, as in, like, to understand the impact?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking maybe Junchen or I can do the first pass.
Yeah, Binbin, I think, can you at least do the assessment here?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Binbin.
If you want to share your thoughts on this issue.
Yeah, I just want to talk about the previous one. Maybe Bingbing, since you will investigate the impact of this,
Yeah.
so you can, yeah, I think you can put, yeah, this one you just opened. You can prioritize this work first, then
Okay.
later on the error improvements. At least to figure out the impact and also what we need to do, whether it's just a small work or require some more works.
Yeah.
Akash, please.
Yeah, along those same lines, do we know if there's been any progress on the ACR SDK side to expose the refresh token client? Because we're still pinned to that 2019 or 2018 preview SDK because new versions of the SDK do not support that client. So I don't know if it's a security concern, but it's also another dependency bump that we should try to look into. It's been lingering for quite a while now.
Yeah, I remember that I reached out to the contact person. I think quite sometimes, but still did not get any confirmation on that. Yeah, so maybe I can follow it up again. But I'm not sure whether we can get any promising on this on that one. Akash, you just mentioned.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, this issue. Yeah.
It's currently set for future milestone since it's also security related, like deprecated SDKs. Should we bring it to 1.3 as well?
Do you mean this issue?
I think
959.
maybe you can check the chat.
Yeah, maybe you can
message.
just update the URL. The ID is 959.
Okay. 959.
I think if we are
Oh.
not, if we can't get commitment for them to release it in a future SDK, we may need to look to moving off of that SDK and implementing our own version of it, like the client.
Yep. E, are you following up on this? Should we assign this to you?
Actually, yeah, I'm not doing this real implementation work. I'm just checking the dependency, the timeline for the dependency, who owns this SDK. So previously I did this for several times, but
Yeah.
still did not get any confirmation. So yeah, so I think today I needed to check this again to see whether we can have something. Yeah. So maybe I'm not sure this can be assigned to two people.
Yeah, I think we can give them one more ping
Oh.
and we have to evaluate other solutions once, like, give them three chances, and if we don't hear back, we'll have to investigate our own other solution.
Okay. Cool. from the verification lead time.
Yeah, this one is just something I brought up for the for improvements on the signature verification lead time. But at this moment, this may not may be a problem or may not be a problem. So I would think that we can firstly mark this issue to future milestone. Once we identified some issues, for example, related to the CIL checking, we can create an issue for CIL and link back to this issue. Maybe you can firstly put to future. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's marked as need information. What information are we pending on?
I'm not sure who marked this.
Oh, I did one.
Do you remember? Do you recall, Pimpin?
I don't have a memory on that.
Yeah, no problem. Let's remove it if we're not clear.
Okay. Information.
Yeah, I think we can move it, and once I think this especially for the notary project signatures, once the timestamping is supported, and also later on with the CLL. So that means we have a additional request for the timestamping server and also corresponding revocation checking. So this may impact the overall signature verification lead time. And for some vendor, we have the webhook time requirement, right? So yeah, so we can check this later whether this will be a real issue. So yeah, so let's put it in future, and we will see once the notary project release the timestamping and CIL.
Yes, sounds good. Okay, let's move on. Valid to the security boundary for the flag operations. Yeah, okay. So what do we need to do for this issue?
I think we need to first figure out what do we consider privileged information. So I know from the status of our resources, you can see like for KMP's AKV provider, you can see things like the tenant ID and the client ID, things like that. And then I think from a multi-tenancy scenario, can you, if you don't have the RBAC for another tenant's resources, can you still list the status of those and get that information?
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is meaning for the multi-tenancy scenario.
I think that's where the biggest concern is, but the first part of it is determining, are we okay to emit like client ID, tenant ID, things like that in the status, even in a non-multi-tenant scenario? I don't know if those are privileged information or not. So
So in non-multi scenario, non-multi tenancy scenario, that means probably we have just one user, and it should have everything. It should have like access to everything.
Yeah, so if that's the persona we're going for, or we're only going to support, then I think that's a reasonable assumption. The other persona would be that if you can only have list status access, but you can't edit the resource, is that compliant? But I think for now, maybe the action item here is that we just call out that, look, the persona that we're targeting for non-multi-tenant scenario is someone who has full access over all the resources, edit as well as list. So the list may contain these fields, and that's just how it is right now.
Yeah, makes sense. Hey, Josh, I saw you just want to say something.
I think Josh kind of cleaned it up.
Okay.
I think so.
Remove charge and probably future or next milestone. It's let's move to next milestone.
Yeah, let's put it in 1.4 and then let's see if we can do it.
Yeah. And okay. The key error handling.
Yeah, this one is specific for issues where you may have only one of the keys or certificates that are failing. So right now, from an implementation point of view, we fail the entire reconcile operation if one of the keys or certificates results in a failure to update. So that's one thing we can look into if we want to not do that. And then coupled with that, we would need to surface the error more clearly. So right now in the status field, I don't think we won't emit if the specific key failed or specific certificate failed. So that's another thing we could look into. So adding like a message column to that status field.
So this is only specific to the AKV.
Yeah,
Product.
this is specific to AKV for now. Yeah.
Okay. I will to the next release.
Yep.
Next one. Fail to get trust policy. No.
Yeah, this one is an interesting one because we do tag to digest mutation. If you specify a trust policy that's scoped all the way to the tag level, it doesn't actually work because you've already mutated the reference to a digest. So
Oh.
that's one thing. One
Yeah, I think
unfortunate
we
side
can
effect.
close this for now because in our we've updated our documentation to state this limitation and make sure you can use a wildcard or you can specify the digest, right? Like
Mhm.
we don't plan to make any changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can close this.
Oh, thank you. The verify reports did not include signature digest. Hey, I think we discussed it during the error handling test. I feel this is just specifically cosine verify reports. And also I remember that the image, the digest is always the same for different signature.
Yep. Yep.
Do you think we can close it?
Yeah, the signature digest.
Yeah, so we didn't report the signature digest, but we reported a hash of each signature. The hash will be different. Like this is the hash.
Okay. Yeah, for cosine signature is a bit different. Yeah, I think we can close this issue for the, maybe you can in the comment mention that for the cosine case, then we can close it.
Okay, yeah, I'll do it outside. Next one. Oh, I just skipped this one. Name store did not work unless cluster wide store was installed. Oh. Yeah, I think this is currently a limitation in the current design. So, to always have a customer also. Oh, yes, this is something blocking on the GK side, but they will, from my understanding, they will complete this feature by the end of this year. So after that, we will support that.
Okay, so yeah, so let's keep it in future. So once this dependency is implemented, we can work on this.
Yeah. Mhm. Notify users early if KMP will this does not exist.
Yeah, this one, I'll get to this. I'll try to do this by 1.4 probably.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if it can be fixed by the error handling issue, we save errors from the reconciling. So in that case, if users do a deployment and if it failed, it will report the error from the KMP like reconciliation. So in that case, even users didn't know about the issue during the like applying the CR, but they will still get the error when like deployment failed.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So if you think we can address it with this, then maybe it should be fine.
Does that sound good to you?
I'm not sure whether it can fix this issue. Because in this issue, we do not have any KMP resource.
With non-existing.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
just yeah. So it's I configured a verifier, right? And in the verifier, I point into a KMP resource. However, that resource was not created. But from the command, it seems the verifier is configured successfully. So it's I think it's a difference.
I feel I have one concern is that so when we first because we usually like apply a KMP resource or verify resource like in some of order. So if we apply the verify first and then we apply the KMP. So in this case, when we apply the verify CR, it will not get the KMP at that time. So it will report some errors. And then once we apply the KMP CR, so it will work after that.
There's some discussions on the thread. I think we've previously discussed some possible things like, if we could trigger the verify reconciler. I think for the error improvement, we've identified to, at the time of verification, if it was a failure because the certificate did not exist, we will definitely surface that error message better. So I don't think there's any urgency to handle this, but we could definitely investigate what we've stated in the thread, like,
Yeah.
We could move on, log a warning, we could trigger retries, but it's not for this sprint, for this release.
Do we move to next release or future?
I think we can put to next release first.
Okay.
So it's not that urgent. So normally user should have all the results configured, right? So in some cases they may forget to do something. So we can do it better. So let's put it to the next milestone first, then we can charge at that time when we
Okay.
release 1.3. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Which one? Oh, how to write the parallels.
Yeah.
How to
It seems I reported a lot of issues previously.
Yeah, thanks for the issue. What? Do we have any discussion yet? Oh yeah, we have.
So this is already scheduled for 1.3, I think.
Okay. So does that mean we just need to provide a record policy for this user scenario?
From the June 25th comment, it seems like we're trying to add a flag in, like what we can add a flag in the default charts.
You have both viewing. Oh, that's also another workaround.
Yes. Is this an urgent item for this release? If it's
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think so. Yeah.
I see. It doesn't have an owner right now, so it's possible that this could slip into the next release, but we'll keep it in 1.3 for now.
Oh,
I would suggest we can just move to 1.4.
Okay, sure.
It is not urgent. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. Bin, we have 5 minutes in the call. I wonder if we can do a like a status check on 1.3 while we have E on the call.
1.3. Oh, we have a lot. Right for migration guide.
Yeah, I think for the ones that doesn't have an owner, so they are the ones like, could possibly slip. For the ones that's with owner, I just want to do a status check on like how we're feeling about the progress. So we have four more weeks, right?
Yes.
So we want to leave some time for testing at the end. Yeah, roughly 4 more weeks. So I'll just start with the first one. Akash 1437 signing the release asset. We've made great progress on the dev asset. Do we plan to sign the release asset for 1.3 as well?
It depends on how much bake time we want for the dev asset workflow. Like, will we have enough time to get feedback on that?
Yeah, so maybe we can just do the dev release, signing the dev assets for this release and then target release asset next release. Is that better?
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah. Would you like to create another tracking item?
Yeah, I'll create another one that just tracks the dev assets one.
Yeah, sounds good. Next one, license checker deprecation. I think we said any sort of features that was shipped in GA we shouldn't break anything that we ship in GA, but license checker is a plugin and we haven't. I don't know, like, is there a process where we mark our plugin as GA versus beta? I know we have the versioning, but I'm not sure if we take it very seriously. Akash, do you have any opinion on if we should remove this or
Yeah, I don't think that comment I left is accurate anymore. We probably can only mark it as deprecated, but we can't remove it. Because
okay.
yeah, because the way we ship the binary along with the Ratify binary in a release, right? So technically they'll
Yes.
version together. So yeah.
Okay, so I'll move this out to 2.0 then.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks.
But I wonder if we should make the announcement before the
Mhm.
deprecation.
Yeah, that we can definitely do.
Yeah, I'll double check. I think it's marked as deprecated when we shipped the 1 point something.
Okay. Next one.
Yeah, HTTP response size. So I've created that issue in Gatekeeper repository. If you scroll down, Bin, could you have a quick look if they responded? I see. I don't think we will do anything with the limit this release. I will move it to 1.4. Like maybe we just need to update our documentation.
Yeah. No. No retry McFeed. I think Josh is working on that.
Yeah. Josh, I think so this current PR is setting up the reconciling on a periodic schedule for clustered and namespaced CRs, right? And the next PR would be to support the N versions. Is that correct?
Yep.
I'm just trying to think about the schedule. Like for the current PR, should we add the end-to-end test before we add the N version support?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the way that I've kind of mapped it out, Kash and I met a little, that was probably 2 weeks ago now. There's kind of like 4 main phases, and I'm not sure all these need to be in 1.3. So that's a good question. But the first one is the refresher interface, which is the refreshability, which is the draft PR. The next one would be the multi-version support. And then the next one after that would be updating the logic inside the providers to do the different things that Yee's design doc propose, which is, like don't have more than maybe 3 versions and stuff. So those are the 3 big kind of milestones, so to speak. So I guess my first question is, which of those needs to happen, or if maybe all of them need to happen in 1.3?
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if we can break out the N version support in 1.4. E, do you have any suggestion?
I'm still trying to understand which parts we may miss in 1.3.
Sure.
Sure.
So
Go ahead,
I can
Josh.
summarize a little bit. Hopefully it'll help. So the current draft PR will take care of this particular issue with the refreshing, and so that PR handles this whole issue here and gives us the ability to at least re-get the certificates. So it gives us the ability to refresh them, refresh the state, make sure that they're not invalid or disabled or what have you. And then the multi-version support that I'm kind of calling it allows us to edit the map so that way we can store multiple versions of a certificate and of a key inside the KMP. Because right now we can have multiple, but not multiple versions inside the same. So they're just stored as separate entries, where this edition would change the map to say the key name is test, but test has two versions of it stored in the same entry. So it's just changing how it looks in the map and memory. And then that gives us the ability to do the next step, which would be, all the different things that we would want to, basically the pruning and the taking care of the certificates once they're in the map.
A
Does
quick
it help at all?
question, Josh.
Sure.
So if we broke up the features into like the first stage is to be able to refresh, and then in release 1.4 we support N versions. Is there any backwards compatibility in this? Like, do we break anything with the support of N version? Does it change any behavior in 1.3?
Good question. It should, if you're not specifying multiple versions of the same certificate, the behavior will be the same. But if you use the new feature, then the behavior will be different. So in my mind right now, it's backwards compatible in the sense that if you use it the same way it's always been used, it'll operate the same way.
Would
Yeah.
that be an experimental feature for the N version?
Yeah, essentially. Nakash, feel free to call me out if you have any difference of opinion.
No, I think in general it should preserve the existing experience, however, with the fetching ability, so the periodic update. But it'll be, again, we support latest if you don't provide the version, and then we support that specific version being updated if you specify the version. There's no concept of we take the N latest or X latest versions. But the one, I guess, not related to cert retry logic as well as the N certificate version logic, if you take all of those together, is there a breaking change between what we have now and if we by default enable certificate refresh afterwards? Because technically we are updating the content between 1.2 and 1.3 now if we by default enable cert refresh. So we might have had this conversation earlier. I don't remember what decision we landed upon, whether or not that was consistent with a breaking change. But that, in my mind, is the only thing that is maybe a breaking behavior.
Yes.
Yep.
Sure. Yes, let's revisit the default value in the PR meeting. But if we are remaining backwards compatible, is it okay that we first get the refresh mechanism out in 1.3, along with the test coverage documentation, and then we'll support the N versions in the next release?
I just want to make sure the first version will the refresh means if there is a new version, Ratify will fetch the new version, right? If there's no new version, Ratify will get the updated status for the keys or certificates, right?
Correct. Yeah. So if you define a particular certificate and, well, say this the Azure Key Vault provider, that's refreshable. Then it will refresh the state of the certificates in the map that you've defined. So yeah, to answer that question, for inline, no, just because it can't be refreshed. But for refreshable resources, that is true.
Is there a concern with the rotation scenarios where if a new version was created, and the verification will break?
Yeah, so yeah, I'm thinking the scenario that we can deliver in 1.3. So if there's new version, so with so we will refresh and get the new version. So so we should be able to verify, for example, the images signed with new version, right?
Mhm.
And
Yes.
if there's no rotation, but the user, for example, disable a key from AKV, and during the refresh, we find that the key is disabled, so this key will not be able to verify any images signed with those key, right?
Yeah, if it
So
finds that it's disabled, it'd be removed from the map, and then it wouldn't be able to verify.
okay. Yeah, I think I think it's okay. I think at least these two scenarios are covered that we can, yeah, we can deliver. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about compatibility a bit more in the PR meeting. But yeah, thanks, Yi.
Yeah, thank you. So we are running out of time. So we
Yes.
can do the following in the next meeting.
Yeah, we talked a lot about the error messages already. I think the other major one that we want to check is the timestamping support. So I understand, Junchen, you already have a plan for validation on taking the update from notation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll have to run through that in the PR meeting as well next week.
Okay, sure.
But meanwhile, I think we already have the beta release from notation, and we can start testing with it this week. Right? It's already out.
Yeah, the beta version is ready.
Yes, I think that is good point. We can yeah, update to the data library to testing the timestamping to see whether there are some other work we require, right? So currently only the trust policy, I mean the Ratify welfare supports that. We just needed to test it to see whether any other issues.
Yes, Junchen have a link on the meeting notes for the validation plan. We will go through that in the PR review meeting since we didn't get time today, but feel free to take a look. Let us know if you have any feedback.
Yeah, we have a Junchen listed a few scenarios we want to cover.
Thank you, Junchen.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, yeah, that's everything.
Thank you. We went through a lot of content. Thanks, Binbin.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thanks
Bindu.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.